Hello class. This video lecture is on the time value of money. And it's a somewhat it's a somewhat simple concept, but maybe a little more difficult in execution. But I think if you go back and review a little bit what the time value of money is, we could really make sense of the calculations that we need to do, and then understand what it is that why we're doing the calculation and how it's going to inform us when it comes time to make decisions. So, very simply, money is worth or has value that differs at different time frames. So, for example, if I were to tell you I was going to give you $100 and this was 50 or 60 years ago, you would say, oh, that's great. $100 50, 60 years ago was worth a lot of money, right? If I say I'm going to give you $100 today, you might say, okay, I'll take $100 today. I could do something with that. If I say I'm going to give you $100 50 years from now, you might say, I really don't know how much $100 is going to be able to buy 50 or 60 years from now. So depending on when you get that $100, it could have, it's certainly going to have different values. So that's why when we're making our business-related decisions, we need to take what the value of money is going to be during the time frame that we're talking about. So let me give you an example. If we are going to buy a piece of equipment, and this piece of equipment is going to generate for us $1 million 10 years from now, that we have to factor that in, and we have to take that dollar amount from 10 years from now and discount it back into today's dollars, because we're buying the equipment with today's dollars. So that equipment is going to cost us X, and if it's going to generate an amount of money 10 years from now, that money 10 years from now is not going to be what it's worth today. So we need to discount that money back to today's time to compare it against the cost of the machine. We also need to make investment decisions too, right? We need to say, if I'm saving for college and I put this much away and I'm earning this much interest, how much is that going to be worth in the future, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? So we need to do those types of calculations too. So a lot of times we're discounting back future monies to make decisions, and then sometimes we're projecting forward how much money we're going to have if we get a certain interest rate, or this is called an annuity, or if we put a set amount aside every month or every year, how much money is that going to generate? So we're going to go through each of those calculations, and what I'll probably do is I'll probably do those in a number of videos because they are kind of separate and distinct. So there's two ways we could do any of these calculations. The first way, actually there's three ways we could do it because we have charts now that will do that for us too. But we're just going to talk about two. We're going to talk about the longhand calculations for them because I want you to see how these are calculated. But there's also financial calculators, and you know, I'm a little older, and I have my old Texas Instrument financial calculator. But nowadays you can get an app for a financial calculator and do some of these calculations in literally seconds, as opposed to maybe hours if we were doing them longhand. So let's first talk about the future value of money, okay? And to talk about the future value of money, we need to start talking about interest rates and interest and what impact interest has on money. So let's start with a very simple demonstration here, or example. Let's say we have $100 and we are earning 6% per year on that $100. And I want to know how much I'm going to have after 3 years. Let's say 3 years. So very simple. Year one, I'm going to earn $6. And how I get that is just very simply 100 times 0.06, which equals $6. 100 times 0.06 is $6. So I have my original 100, and I've earned $6 at the end of that first year, so now I have $106 after year one. Year two, I'm going to make more than $6 because now I'm earning that 6% on this $106, not on the original $100. This is called compound interest. Okay, and it makes the calculation a little more complicated, but believe me, compound interest is a friend of ours. So if I take 6% times the 106 now, I get 12.36. So now at the end of year 2, so that's going to be $6.36 I earn in year 2. So I earn an additional 36 cents during year 2 because of this initial interest I earned. Now I have $112.36. And if I do that calculation again for year 3 and take the 112.36, I'm going to end up with 119.10. So again, earning certainly more than the $6 that I did in the beginning, almost $6.70 or 80 cents. So as the years go on, I'm going to earn more and more and more with that 6% return because of compound interest. So this is easy to do if I have 3, 4, 5 years. But what if I'm talking about 20, 30 years? Now this calculation becomes a little cumbersome to do it year by year by year. So all we do is we do a simple formula where we do future value, and N just represents the number of years. It could be 20 years, 30 years, 5 years, whatever, equals the present value of that money, which is our $100 here, times 1 plus our rate of return taken to the N number of years. So our present value, which is $100, times 1 plus our interest rate, which is R, 1.06, taken to the nth power. And let's do, I'm going to have to figure this out longhand. Let's do 20 years. So I'm going to do this calculation real quick. So it's 1.06. We do what's in the parentheses first. And we're going to raise that to the 20th power and then multiply that by 100. It's going to be worth $320.71 after 20 years. So if I take $100, I put it away somewhere, earning 6% per year, do not touch it for 20 years. At the end of that 20 years, that $100 will be worth $320.71. Okay, that's a future value. So you can see how this comes in handy. If you're saving for college, if you're saving for a house, a down payment on a house, if you're saving for college or a car, you could say, well, how long will I need if I just take a sum and I put it away for a period of time, earning an interest rate? The other way to do this is with a financial calculator. And with a financial calculator, what you're going to see is there's going to be 5 input buttons on any financial calculator you have that deal with time value of money. N is going to be the number of years. Usually something like IY is going to be the interest. In this case, it's the 6%. You'll have present value, future value, and then I'm running out of board here, a payment key. So those are the 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 buttons that you're going to use with a financial calculator. In this instance, you always want to determine first, what is it that I'm trying to calculate? And in this example, we're trying to calculate the future value. So that's going to be what we're going to be computing for. There's no entry into this. That's going to be what we're computing for. So on any financial calculators, what I would do is I would type, years is 20, I would type in 20N. The interest rate is 6 IY, or interest, I don't know how some calculators differ. The present value is $100. And for right now, this is going to be 0. We're going to talk about this button when we talk about annuities, but for right now, that button is 0. And then we just say compute future value, and it should spit out that figure right there for you. So again, we could do these calculations longhand if there's very few of them to do, or we could do them via a financial calculator or an app that we could probably download for free. Just make sure that we're putting in these 5, even though we're not calculating or doing anything with payment, we still need to put a 0 in there. And then compute for, in this case, future value, and we'll get our answer.